started showing me about breaking boards. And at first we're breaking these little 3/4 inch little boards, which I'd kind of tried that on my own a little bit and started getting it down pretty good, and I got really, really good at it. But then he told me I could break bricks. And I was kind of scared. I was like, no way, cinder block bricks, like pavers. And the first time I broke my hand, busted my hand, slammed my hand right through a concrete brick and broke it, snapped it in half. I couldn't believe it. I was just like in shock that I could generate that kind of energy and not hurt my hand or something, Now on the bricks, I was palm striking them. I was like rotating into them. Kind of like how the theory of like a whip, when you crack a whip and you hear that pop at the end of the whip. Well, that's because the whip is breaking the sound barrier. That's what that pop is you're hearing. Well, that's kind of what I was doing with my palm, the way I'd roll it into it right before I'd strike the brick. So not only was it coming in at fast and forward, but I was like snapping energy into it at the end. I don't know how to explain it. And the reason I went with my palm, because I felt palm striking it, I'd be less likely to, break bones in my hand. So yeah, when I broke through that brick, I couldn't believe it. Then I broke another one, another one. Snapped it through. I was like, wow. I was so shocked that I could do that. So I thought if I don't like violence, and I'm not promoting violence, but I know the energy that's there. And I just thought, if I took that brick, if I was in a bad situation, if I took that brick and knocked it over busted it over somebody's head, it's going to knock them silly and be unconscious probably, And I just thought, wow, I can't believe I can generate that kind of energy. Before that, I'd been in boxing and martial arts and stuff too, but for a lot of years. I don't know, that was a big moment for me. I just couldn't believe it. Well, then, after breaking boards and stuff, I was just doing little 3/4 inch boards, and I was breaking them with the green, I got really good at it. I could even hang them on strings in the garage, and I could do different moves and break them in half while they're hanging on strings. And I did that because of, Bruce Lee and stuff. That's why I started trying that. Because there was no resistance on the board. That means I had to be super fast to break that board because it's just hanging on a string. It wasn't like propped in between a solid immovable object, where I was forcing my way through. I was doing it with speed, and I used to lift weights like that, I had friends that were lifting weights because they were trying to build muscle and get stronger, and they'd tell me I had to do it slower, and all this stuff. Well, I had a whole different philosophy. Like when I'd lay down bench press, I'd slam it out as fast as I could. The faster I could do it, the better, and then I'd bring it back to my chest and try to stop it before it hit my chest too, because I didn't want to bust my chest up. But I did it as fast as I could. And I'd throw 130 pounds on it once I got stronger, and bam, bam, just 130 pounds as fast as I could. And because that way I was getting strong, but yet I was still fast. I don't want to be building muscle and be slow. And well, then later on is when I started learning how to break boards and then the bricks and stuff, And then of course I was lifting the weights before I started learning martial arts really good. I'd already been into boxing, but boxing and lifting weights while I was still boxing and stuff. Then I started watching Bruce Lee videos and pausing and play pause, a frame at a time, trying to learn how he would do different moves and stuff. And yeah, man, it just was a whole journey. And then I got lucky to meet a grandmaster that's in the World Hall of Fame that ended up being one of my best friends in the world, and he was like a dad, a best friend, a mentor, all kinds of stuff, man. It was awesome. Good to ask for more, Well, now I can, because he's not around no more, so I'm going to keep asking. I miss that, man. So anyway, we're getting to him back too, and I had these in my garage. I was living in White Bear Lake, attacked me. That was like the Pink Panther movie and stuff, you know, not the cartoon, but the movie, you know. And so he'd attack me out of nowhere, you know. So I'd always had to learn to react, you know. And then he'd even attack me in my sleep too, not to hook me, but come kicking in my bedroom door and jump right on me. Get up, you little. And I miss all that, man. I had a lot of fun. And after, when he moved out, I really missed him because that was really some of the best training I ever had. I mean, even though I trained with him on a regular basis, but having him around 24/7 was just really cool. So anyway, God, it takes so long for me to get the subjects. I had these boards. They were like 2x8s. They're cut down into about, 16, 18 inches long, but they were 2x8, like a 2x4, but 8 inches wide, you know. So they're big hunks of wood. And I had them stacked up in the garage. And me and my karate master were leaving one day and jumping in my Trans Am, and he looks at the stack of the 2x8s inside the garage. He looks at me and he says, them boards you've been talking about breaking? I look over to see what he's talking about. It was those 2x8s. I was like, no. You know what? Are you crazy? Well then later, I can't remember where I dropped him off that day or whatever, but I was going to come back later or something. Well, then I got thinking, when he asked me if them were the boards I was talking about breaking, he wouldn't have asked me that unless he believed I could do it. So, well, I take one of the boards, 2x8, mind you. I didn't prop it in between something to bust it. I'm busting with the grain, of course. I'm not going against the grain. But, so I'm not Superman. But I am pretty amazing. So I take one of them and I just hold it. And I was going to do a palm strike like I did with, I can't remember if I did it with my left hand first. So I held it with my right hand. And I held it, and I was going to break it just like I broke the bricks, with the palm strike rolling into it. And I didn't know if I was going to hurt my hand or not, but I figured if I'm just holding it in my hand, either I'm going to bust through this board, or I'm going to knock it out of my other hand, you know? And, man, I just blew right through it, man. Just that thing blew right in half, snapped it right in half. Knocked it out of my hand and snapped it in half as it flew out of my hand. I jumped up in the air, clicked my heels. I was like, yes! I couldn't believe it. Wait a minute. I don't know, maybe that was just a fluke or something. So I busted another one, same way, boom. And I was like, wow, I can do this now. Wait a minute, there might have been a crack in that, So I grabbed a third one. And I'm pretty sure it was the third one that I really checked for cracks. But, yeah, there was no cracks in it. I did the third one. It might have been the second one where I checked for the crack. But I think it was the third one. And, so, I rode 2 or 3 right in a row, right one after the other with these. I couldn't even believe I was snapping my hands through them. So it wasn't just a one-time fluke, And, so, good song. I'm gonna turn up the fan. Good. So, I was so excited that, I couldn't believe I was doing it. So then I ended up throwing them all in my trunk, my Trans Am, driving around, showing off to friends of mine. Got to everybody's house. Hey, come here, I gotta show you this. Check this out. And I'm pulling up. Boom. And they'd be like, whoa, and then I'd be like, I gotta go. I gotta show this to somebody else. I had one friend. When I did it in front of her, she was like, yeah, so. She had no idea the energy and speed that took to do that, She didn't find it impressive, but I couldn't believe it, man. Nobody else I showed it to was just in awe. I think that I should still be able to do it, but I'm more scared now because I'm older, and when I get hurt, I don't heal as fast. So, but it's kind of like riding a bike, I don't want to try it now because I don't want to hurt my hand, but I think I can still do it. I ain't going to try to prove it to myself, though. But now if I was in a situation where I had to call for that type of energy or something. I think I could do it. Positive I can. Boy, what a journey of a story, huh? And this is a non-stop recording, so who knows how it's where it's gonna get cut out at. And that's gonna putting a title on it. It's gonna be different, especially if I got to go through and cut it out. Let's just make it a long hour long video. And my phone was ringing while I was going down the road there. I forgot my ringer's off. I seen it light up. My friend Cliff was calling. But in case you're watching Cliff, I couldn't answer. I was driving down the road here. And didn't have my earbuds in either. So, man, they're really getting down on everybody about this distracted driving stuff. Let's say Monday. Oh, bridge work beginning on Monday. Well, I don't know how long that's going to go on for. 27th, today's supposed to be 22nd, so yeah. In 5 more days, start working on this bridge up ahead. Not bad. I think that's a bit darker when I came back before. Now it's staying light longer. Probably hard to tell that I'm going down a steep hill. Maybe it'll show up on camera, but angles of hills don't show up on cameras very well. But I'm about to go across the bridge, which is the St. Croix River Valley here. So you'll get a view of it out my window. It's pretty. Very pretty area. Passed me on the right there. The lane's squished into one lane here, and I was going 35 up the hill, so I wouldn't be slowing them down. And it's a 30-mile-an-hour zone. Well, it turns to 55 up here. He definitely didn't want to get stuck behind me. It was pretty obvious. All right, so what am I going to talk about next? I forget where I was going before I got sidetracked into talking about the Karate Master. I couldn't believe the energy I was nursing and stuff. I had a point I thought I was getting to before I got all sidetracked and stuff. But that's how it goes when you turn on the camera and you don't know what you're going to talk about. You just kind of ramble on. Of course, this is how it goes when I meet people too. You know, I'm all over the map. I start telling them a story and then but I start telling them it ends up being something else. But people that keep hanging around me that like me, eventually they end up hearing the whole story. Driving into the sun no more now that I don't think so anyway. I'm going to keep them on my head though just in case. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I guess I might be going into the sun a little bit. But it should be going down now. It's starting to look like it. Hope you get a good view of the river valley here. Pretty. Thank you for all the good things you do for me. And I thank you for my whole life up to this point. Because I remember when I was younger, I've talked to God all my life, just like I was talking to him now. saying, you know, the main thing in my life is I said, sure, well, when I was younger, I really wanted to. I always feel big stuff ahead of me or something, you know, but I had a big purpose. And I didn't say porpoise, it's purpose. And, what was that wrong about driving into the sun? I'm doing it again. I'm driving into the sun again. Not into it literally, but you know what I mean. I knew I had a big purpose when I was younger. I had these dreams about, you know, being rich and having a big house with all these different rooms that I could do artwork, build theme rooms and stuff, and all this, and entertain and all this kind of stuff. And I just want a small, little, tiny place now. The place I keep dreaming about is only about 400 square foot house. But I like the property. I just feel at home there. Been vacant for quite a while. But right now, even though I keep dreaming about it, I ain't got no way to get it. I've got a pot to piss in per se. And however that saying goes. Oh, come on, Darren, don't lose your train of thought. Oh yeah, I was walking along talking to God back when I was in the beginning of high school. And when I was talking to God, I said, no matter what, you know, I want your will to be done, Lord, you know, over anything I want, because you know what's best anyway. I said, but I do pray that I have a happy life. As much as I dream about having fancy things, and I really like Lamborghini Countachs. Oh boy, that was my favorite car, and I still like them today. I just think the body lines on it and everything, they're just cool looking car. And if I ever do really well, that's something I could see getting. I don't need the real deal, you know, but I could see getting a kit car version of it, you know, just because it's the body style I like, you know. But it's kind of neat to have a real one too, just to see how smooth it is or something, you know. But too expensive to maintain all that. I'd be happy with a kit car one with a V8 in it or something. Heck, I'd probably be happy with a little V6 in it or something. Just as long as it zipped around a little bit, you know. Don't need nothing to go Mach 3 or nothing. But yeah, I'd probably a V8 in it, like a Chevy 350 or something, or a Ford 351 or something. But yeah, I prayed to God. I talked to him just like I'm talking now, and I asked him just, you know, no matter what happens in my life, even if I don't have all this bigness that I feel, because I always help people when I was younger, you know. So, and then I thought, well, even if that doesn't happen, Lord, you know, the main thing is that I'm happy in life. And I prayed for a little girl that before I died that I'd get to have a little girl. I do have a daughter. So that was one of the best prayers God's ever sent.